To save a refugee camp from a deadly explosion, a squad of daredevils has to attempt the impossible and transfer 200 kilos of nitroglycerine through a desert full of terrorists and other dangers. But let's get back to the beginning. Our story starts with an impressive car chase in the middle of the desert. A brave woman named Clara is on a mission to help people from a refugee camp. Pursued by a group of dangerous men, she manages to break away and successfully complete her task. To relieve stress, Clara makes love with her partner named Fred. It is not clear if they are dating, but they clearly trust each other and have a strong bond between them. Fred knows that Clara is following in her father's footsteps and will do anything to keep the refugee center safe. However, Clara is unaware of Fred's troubled past with his brother Alex. Fred was a bodyguard whose boss was killed during a violent civilian coup. Fred offered Alex to steal his boss's money and run to Paris to start a new peaceful life there. Alex, wanting a better future for his family, agreed to take the risk and help his brother. Unfortunately, Alex was arrested and sent to jail, while Fred took his wife and daughter and hid them in the refugee camp. Now Fred feels that they are in danger again. The criminals are getting too close to the refugee camp, so he needs to find money as soon as possible to help Alex's family leave the country. Alex's wife refuses to leave without her husband, but her conversation with Fred is interrupted by a sudden explosion that frightens everyone at the camp. Meanwhile, Alex has to do anything to survive in jail. He participates in underground fights to entertain the public and keep himself alive. He proves himself as an extremely skilled and experienced fighter, but jail turned Alex into a desperate and mentally broken person. At night, Alex once again recalls the moment that ruined his life. He chose to trust his brother, but Fred wasn't completely honest with him. He took Alex into a house full of dead cops and persuaded him to blow up his boss's safe. While Alex was busy with the safe, Fred noticed a group of soldiers approaching the house. Fred didn't warn his brother, so Alex was arrested and had to take full responsibility for Fred's idea. Now, Alex still thinks about Fred's betrayal and keeps wondering why his brother didn't save him. Fred reveals that the group of outlaws caused the destruction, which puts the refugee camp under threat of deadly explosion. People from the oil company deduce the only way to save the camp from the explosion. A woman named Anne Marchand arrives in the camp to talk to Fred. She needs him to gather a group of people ready to embark on a deadly, dangerous mission. Together, they will have to drive trucks filled with 200 kilos of nitroglycerine to extinguish an oil well fire. Taking into account that nitro is highly explosive, Fred wants to abandon the mission, but Anne makes an offer he can't resist. She promises to free Alex from jail since he is an explosives expert and will be an essential member of the rescue group. She will also pay $1 million to the group after completing the mission and help Fred's family to leave the country together. Fred's team will also include a sassy guy named Gautier, Clara, and Jibril, and Fred isn't happy about risking Clara's life. They are given 24 hours to complete the task, and it is obviously going to be very hard to do. The group's plan goes wrong from the very beginning. The territory around them is divided between the army and outlaws who ambushed the group's helicopter. Thankfully, the group manages to avoid the threat and escape. When they reach the safe place, Fred finally meets Alex, and the first thing Alex does is punch Fred in the face. He wants to beat Fred up, but other members of the group reassure him. They persuade Alex to join the team for his family and brief him about the mission's details. While Fred and Alex get ready for the mission, Clara and Jibril sneak into a worldwide health center and steal passes for their cover. It is time to start their way, and the group embarks on a dangerous journey. Undercover, they intend to pass the checkpoint, and Clara plays her role pretty well. Then they head to another place to pick up the capsules with nitroglycerine. Gradually, their mission becomes even more hazardous. After the guys pick up the capsules and leave the place, a conflict ensues there and causes an explosion of the entire base. Well, Fred and Alex are really lucky to stay alive after all. Clara struggles with trusting Gautier, who seems to be following only his interests and takes Fred's side. As they enter the war zone, they get stopped by a group of cruel terrorists. Jibril tries to resolve the conflict peacefully, but Alex and Gautier take matters into their own hands and start a shootout. As a result, they shoot most of the terrorists and escape, but Jibril gets killed during the fight, so the group leaves without him. The rest of the outlaws intend to chase after the team and get rid of them. They start a car chase and their shots threaten to damage the trucks with nitroglycerine. The guys make a very risky maneuver and trap the enemy's car. When they are out of danger, Clara takes her anger out on Gautier and blames him for starting the shootout and for Jibril's death. Fred tries to console her, but she keeps grieving about losing her friend. Finally, she tells Fred more about Jibril and hopes to complete the mission to make their sacrifices worthy. Gautier suggests they change their direction to save some time, and the group has to listen to him. They choose a short but dangerous path and almost instantly get into a trap. Alex deduces that the area around them is a minefield, and they have to be extremely careful to stay alive. Alex and Fred have to overcome their old feud and work together to clear the minefield. All of a sudden, Fred finds himself standing on one of the mines, but Alex manages to save his brother's life. Then the group gets attacked by unknown snipers. Thanks to their coordinated work, they get rid of the snipers but lose one more member from their team. When one of the trucks gets damaged, Fred offers to split up and go in two different directions to increase their chances for success. Fred drives with Gautier while Clara stays with Alex. Before splitting up, Clara kisses Fred one more time and they promise each other to be careful. Fred stops in front of a huge puddle of oil, and Alex faces another challenge and has to destroy a big rock to keep moving. Alex uses nitroglycerine to blow up the rock, while Fred manages to drive through the puddle and keep the truck safe. Suddenly, Gautier shows his true colors and reveals that he wants 1 million all to himself. But first, he needs to eliminate all the team members. He shoots Fred and continues his way alone. Anyway, he's not as good at driving as Fred was, so Gautier doesn't cope with the truck and dies in an enormous explosion. Luckily, Alex and Clara find Fred, who is still alive, and rescue him. On their way, another car with outlaws follows them, but Clara throws capsules with nitroglycerine at them. One by one, she causes small explosions and eventually eliminates the enemy's car. When they arrive at their destination, Anne Marchand is already waiting for them. She reveals that there are no other rescue teams, so the only way to neutralize the fire is to drive the truck right into the fire. She threatens to kill Alex's family to make him sacrifice his life, but Fred shoots her first. While everybody else is outside the car, Fred says goodbye to Clara and sacrifices himself to save the refugee camp. He transports nitroglycerine right into the heart of fire and a huge explosion kills him. Shortly after that, the fire is neutralized and the refugee camp is safe and sound. But only Clara, Alex, and his family know the price that was paid to save all these people.